Understanding federalism is key to grasping the balancing act of power in the United States. You see, in our system, power isn't held by one central government alone. Instead, it's divided between the national government in Washington, D.C. and the governments of the individual states. This division of power is fundamental to how our country operates. It ensures that both the federal government and the states have a role to play in governing the people. The beauty of federalism lies in its ability to balance the need for national unity with the preservation of local autonomy. The federal government, with its broader perspective, is tasked with addressing issues that affect the entire nation, such as national defense, foreign policy, and interstate commerce. Meanwhile, state governments, being closer to the people, are better equipped to handle matters that vary from state to state, like education, healthcare, and local law enforcement. This division of power, however, isn't always neat and tidy. There are often areas of overlap and potential conflict, leading to ongoing debates about the proper balance between federal and state authority. This tension is a healthy part of a dynamic system, forcing us to continually re-evaluate and refine the roles of government at both levels. Just as a delicate scale requires careful calibration to function properly, so too does the balance of power in a federal system. It's through this ongoing negotiation and adjustment that we strive to achieve a government that's both effective and responsive to the needs of a diverse nation. Dividing power in America. The foundation of American federalism is laid out in the Constitution, which carefully delineates the powers of the federal government and those reserved for the states. This division of authority is crucial to preventing tyranny and ensuring a government that's accountable to the people it serves. The Constitution enumerates specific powers granted to the federal government, like the power to declare war, coin money, and regulate interstate commerce. These powers are deemed essential for the functioning of a unified nation and are entrusted to the federal government to ensure consistency and prevent conflicts between states. However, the Constitution also recognizes the importance of state sovereignty. The 10th Amendment explicitly states that any powers not specifically delegated to the federal government are reserved for the states or the people. This crucial amendment ensures that states retain a significant degree of autonomy in governing their own affairs, reflecting the founders' belief in limited government and local control. To further clarify the relationship between federal and state authority, the Constitution includes the Supremacy Clause. This clause establishes that the Constitution, federal laws, and treaties made under federal authority constitute the supreme law of the land. This means that in cases of conflict between federal and state law, federal law takes precedence. This principle ensures that the federal government can effectively exercise its enumerated powers and maintain national unity when necessary. By clearly defining the powers of both the federal government and the states, the Constitution provides a framework for a balanced and functional federal system. However, the interpretation and application of these constitutional provisions have evolved over time, shaped by historical events, judicial rulings, and ongoing political debates. The evolution of federalism in the US. The balance of power between the federal government and the states has been a dynamic and evolving aspect of American governance. Over the course of our nation's history, the relationship between these two levels of government has undergone significant transformations, influenced by factors such as economic crises, social movements, and political ideologies. In the early years of the Republic, a model known as dual federalism prevailed. This approach, often likened to a layer cake, viewed the federal government and the states as operating in distinct spheres with clearly defined boundaries. The federal government primarily concerned itself with national issues like foreign policy and interstate commerce, while states retained significant autonomy over matters within their borders. However, the Great Depression and the New Deal era ushered in an era of cooperative federalism. This period saw a dramatic expansion of the federal government's role in addressing social and economic challenges. The federal government began working more closely with states, providing funding and guidance for programs in areas such as welfare, infrastructure, and education. As the federal government's involvement in various policy areas grew, a new form of federalism, known as creative federalism, emerged. This approach, prevalent during the 1960s, utilized federal grants to encourage states to adopt specific policies and programs aligned with national goals, such as civil rights and poverty reduction. In more recent decades, a movement towards new federalism has gained traction. This philosophy emphasizes devolving power and decision-making back to the states. Proponents of new federalism argue that states are better equipped to address local needs and preferences, advocating for greater state autonomy in areas like education, healthcare, and environmental regulation. Shaping the federal landscape. The Supreme Court, as the ultimate interpreter of the Constitution, has shaped American federalism. Through landmark cases like McCulloch v. Maryland and Gibbons v. Ogden, the court defined federal power and state sovereignty. McCulloch affirmed the national bank's constitutionality, expanding federal powers. Gibbons broadened the Commerce Clause, enhancing federal regulation of interstate commerce. In the 20th century, the court tackled civil rights and environmental protection, shaping federalism. Brown v. Board of Education ended segregation, showing federal intervention in state matters. The court's rulings reflect political and social currents,